By the time Johnny Depp reached his mid-teens, stability was already a foreign concept. His family moved constantly, shifting from one home to another, forcing him to adapt again and again before he ever had the chance to feel rooted. Each new environment meant new schools, unfamiliar faces, and the quiet pressure to adjust without complaint. This constant movement built resilience, but it also left behind a lingering sense of uncertainty that followed him into adulthood. Depp has spoken about how those early years shaped his inner world, how the lack of permanence created both toughness and vulnerability. Yet even in that unsettled childhood, creativity became a refuge. Music, drawing, and imagination offered escape and identity when external structure was missing. Those early experiences didn't break him. They shaped a restless spirit driven to create, survive, and search for meaning in an unpredictable world. Finding identity through creativity. As stability remained elusive, creativity became Johnny Depp's anchor. While other teenagers found comfort in routine, he turned inward, discovering music and art as places where he could feel control and expression. Playing guitar, listening obsessively to records, and absorbing counterculture influences gave him a sense of belonging that geography never did. Creativity wasn't a hobby, it was a lifeline. It allowed him to process confusion, frustration, and longing without needing to articulate them aloud. This creative instinct would later define his career, but it began as survival rather than ambition. Long before fame entered the picture, Depp was learning how to disappear into sound, characters, and ideas to escape emotional chaos. That early bond with creativity laid the foundation for his unconventional choices later in life, shaping an artist who valued authenticity over approval and expression over comfort, even when the cost was personal instability. A father confronts his greatest fear. One of the most defining moments of Depp's life came not on a film set, but beside a hospital bed. While working in London, his daughter Lily Rose became seriously ill after a minor injury developed into a severe infection. What followed were days filled with fear, exhaustion, and helpless waiting. Depp and Vanessa Paradis stayed close, living moment to moment, listening to machines hum and doctors speak in careful tones. In that space, fame, career, and public image vanished completely. Nothing mattered beyond the fragile life of his child. Depp has described this period as the darkest of his life, a time when fear outweighed everything he had ever faced. When Lily Rose finally recovered, the relief reshaped him. That experience permanently altered his priorities, grounding him in the understanding that presence, love, and family outweigh every professional achievement, trust, success, and financial shock. At the height of his success, Johnny Depp believed his financial future was secure. Years of blockbuster films and global recognition created an assumption of stability, reinforced by trusted advisors managing his affairs. That illusion shattered when he discovered severe financial mismanagement behind the scenes. What should have been security revealed itself as confusion, debt, and betrayal. The realization forced Depp to confront not only monetary loss, but misplaced trust. Properties had to be sold, lifestyles adjusted, and assumptions dismantled. More painful than the numbers was the emotional toll, the understanding that loyalty and trust can be fragile, even among long-standing professional relationships. This period marked a sharp awakening, teaching him that success does not protect against vulnerability. It became another moment where control had to be reclaimed slowly, through accountability, restructuring, and acceptance that rebuilding sometimes begins after the illusion of stability collapses. Coping, pressure, and inner conflict fame brought opportunity, but it also amplified pressure. As Depp's career accelerated, so did the expectations placed upon him. Long schedules, public scrutiny, and relentless demand created an environment where healthy balance was difficult to maintain. Over time, coping mechanisms that once felt manageable became heavier burdens. The line between escape and dependence blurred as stress accumulated. While the public saw charisma and mystery, private struggles unfolded quietly. These internal battles affected health, relationships, and professional reliability, reminding him that talent alone cannot shield a person from burnout or emotional exhaustion. What makes this chapter significant is not the struggle itself, but the gradual recognition that avoidance only deepens wounds. Facing these challenges required confronting vulnerability without performance or disguise. It was a painful but necessary step toward understanding that resilience isn't about endurance alone. It's about knowing when to stop, reflect, and change course. Love, connection, and emotional strain. Relationships played a central role in Depp's emotional life, offering both grounding and complexity. His long partnership with Vanessa Paradis provided family, privacy, and a sense of normalcy rarely afforded to public figures. Yet even stability carries strain when personal struggles remain unresolved. Later relationships unfolded under intense media attention, transforming private moments into public narratives. The emotional toll of having personal conflicts scrutinized globally created lasting impact. Love became entangled with pressure, miscommunication, and public judgment. These experiences revealed how fame can distort intimacy, making vulnerability risky and misunderstandings amplified. What remained consistent, however, was Depp's desire for connection and loyalty. The heartbreaks he experienced weren't simply romantic failures. They were lessons in emotional accountability, boundaries, and the consequences of unresolved inner conflict. Each relationship left behind insight, reshaping how he approached trust, love, and personal responsibility moving forward. Career shifts and public consequences. As personal challenges became public, Johnny Depp's career faced dramatic change. Studios once eager to collaborate grew cautious, prioritizing predictability over risk. Long-standing roles disappeared, and opportunities narrowed. For an actor whose identity was closely tied to creative freedom, this shift was jarring. Yet it also forced reevaluation. Independent projects and international collaborations replaced blockbuster dominance, offering smaller audiences but greater artistic control. While the loss of mainstream platforms was painful, it opened space for reflection and reinvention. Career disruption became less about rejection and more about redirection. This period revealed how quickly public narratives can reshape professional landscapes. Regardless of past achievements, it also highlighted the resilience required to continue creating without validation. Rather than retreat, Depp leaned into projects that aligned with purpose rather than prestige, redefining success on quieter, more personal terms. Trials, exposure, and endurance. Legal battles brought unprecedented exposure into Depp's private life, placing personal history under global examination. Courtrooms became stages where text messages, personal struggles, and intimate details were dissected publicly. Regardless of outcomes, the process itself carried immense emotional cost. Privacy dissolved, replaced by commentary, speculation, and judgment from millions of strangers. Enduring this level of scrutiny required emotional endurance few experience. While legal resolutions offered some closure, the deeper impacts lingered in reputation and personal identity. This chapter underscored how public conflict rarely allows for nuance, often reducing complex human experiences into headlines. Yet surviving such exposure also revealed strength. It demanded composure, patience, and the willingness to accept imperfection without surrendering self-worth. For Depp, the ordeal marked not an endpoint, but a transition, away from denial and toward the slow work of rebuilding trust, internally and externally. Rebuilding through art and family recovery did not arrive suddenly. It unfolded through intention and consistency. Music became a refuge once again, offering expression without expectation. Performing allowed connection without explanation, creativity without interrogation. European film projects and smaller productions provided spaces where artistry mattered more than spectacle. Most importantly, family became the steady center. His children offered grounding, perspective, and motivation to live differently. Rebuilding meant simplifying life, choosing carefully, and redefining fulfillment. It required humility, accepting that some doors would remain closed while others opened quietly. This phase of life emphasized presence over ambition, quality over quantity. Through creative outlets and personal relationships, Depp began restoring balance. It wasn't about returning to a former version of success, but shaping a new one rooted in authenticity, emotional health, and sustainable creativity, rather than constant external validation. Legacy, reflection, and moving forward. Johnny Depp's story resists simplicity. It is neither a cautionary tale nor a redemption fantasy. It is a human journey marked by complexity, contradiction, and growth. His experiences reveal how success can coexist with vulnerability and how public perception often flattens deeply personal struggles. What remains most powerful is his willingness to continue creating, reflecting, and evolving despite setbacks. Legacy, in this sense, is not measured by box office numbers or awards, but by persistence and self-awareness. Depp's life illustrates that rebuilding is rarely dramatic. It is gradual, quiet, and deeply personal. Moving forward, his focus rests on meaningful work, honest relationships, and creative expression without excess. His journey reminds us that resilience is not about avoiding collapse, but about learning how to stand again, with greater clarity, humility, and purpose than before.